Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Round the Clock Cricket with me, Rahul. We have Sudeep and Ayan. Unfortunately, we're not having Amit and Kunal today. So, first of all, I'd like to wish our viewers a very happy Guru Nanak Jayanti today. And on a very auspicious day of Guru Nanak, we are very, very happy and privileged to inform everyone that with all your love and blessings, we have crossed 25,000 subscribers and 2.2 lakh viewers also. So, a big, big thanks and shout to all our viewers and subscribers who are loving us and giving us a lot of support. Thank you all. Straight on to our program and topic. We will be, of course, reviewing the much debated topic that is India's win in the World Cup, which has been a phenomenal win after losing three group matches, which we discussed a few weeks back to back Australia and South Africa. And then in the last 10 minutes, we'll discuss the Australian team, which was earlier declared today, which will take on England in the first Ashes Test at Perth on the 21st. And it is a very, very surprising squad with two new faces, which we also were unaware of. So we'll discuss that. Firstly, we would start off with Oyon on the India's performance in the World Cup. Very much awaited, much discussed. We had discussed in a full show regarding India's matches. We also discussed, as Ayan pointed out, then that the matches were on smaller grounds. Even last week, we discussed that the matches were on smaller grounds, which may lead to not all the grounds being full. And this was not a revenue discussion of ICC on a different topic. But however, India pulled off what was an impossible victory. Probably the grains were, the seeds were nipped in the bud in the semi-final with the Jemima unbelievable innings. And then in the final with an all-round performance of everyone, almost Dipti Sharma leading the show. Ayan, over to you. Firstly, would like to know what's your thoughts on this one. Two, what do you think will happen to Indian women's? Everyone's asking that question. And lastly, three, was this or is this rather a fair indication now that India has finally broken the jinx and it's going to be a superpower in women's cricket like the men's cricket? Over to you, Aaron.
So, I think the first thing that comes to mind is this is somewhat like 1983. 1983 termed an awakening of Indian cricket. But then one has to say, of course, Indian men's cricket. Now you have women's cricket as well. But I would not say that 1983 was just men's cricket. It was indeed a sort of a absolutely spawning of, a lot of enthusiasm and passion about the game, where it really showed that we could beat everybody everywhere. Because England, that was sort of the mother of cricket. The final was played at Lord's against the mighty West Indies, and nobody had given India a chance, probably including the team itself. Right? Here, what I really thought was spectacular, in fact, in terms of instances as well, we all remember, the nation remembers the famous catch that Kapil Dev took of Richards. Here, and of course, Richards was, threatening to run away with the match. And then Madan Lal's that pull shot, Madan is probably supposed to have told Kapil that ek aur over mujhe de do, because he was being taken to the cleaners by Richards. Kapil Dev sort of trusted his guts and gave Madan Lal one more over, and then the match turned. Here, I think the same kind of thing happened for the South African captain. Right, Wolvaert. I mean, she was absolutely, of course, South Africa were nowhere close to what West Indies was in that match. But then, I mean, they were really in a commanding position, West Indies was. South Africa was not really, in control of the match really at any point of time. But certainly, Wolvaert was playing an absolutely fantastic captain's innings. And the more she would be there, I mean, she would be a real thorn in Indian flesh. And there have been instances where, cricket can be a one batswoman game here. And, she could have farmed the strike and she could have taken it out. So that Amanjot's catch, I think, will be remembered in the annals of India's women's cricket. And it was a really dramatic catch as well, no? I mean, she didn't take it in the first attempt. She juggled it thrice. I think the hearts of the entire country, were in their mouths. But she somehow clung on. And that showed the same desperation that the entire team had. And I think, of course, was an interesting thing. I mean, I do believe that this outfield catching is a problem in women's cricket. We saw Australia muffed the simplest of catches. I mean, Jemima was given two dolly lives. I mean, the wicketkeeper, the catch she missed was one of the worst drops I've seen. South Africa, normally a very, very strong fielding side. I mean, they two muffled chances. And here we too dropped. Jemima herself dropped the captain.
And
And
in the
then
overall, the tournament, Ayun, overall, we had been discussing India's fielding has been a little shoddy.
But you see, in the final round, they played with their lives. I mean, they were diving like crazy. If I remember another instance, in the '85 Champion of Champions thing. Yeah, I remember when we used to switch on television that day. Those days we had black and white TV and all. So 5 o'clock used to switch on, and the first match that Doordarshan showed was the Australia match where India defeated Australia. And I remember Australia batted first, and I think Kepler Wessels had glanced a ball towards this fine leg. And Ravi Shastri, who was never the most athletic of fielders, he came and he sort of, he slided, he skidded along the ground and saved a four. And I was like, wow, this kind of fielding from India. Shastri, who was never the most athletic fielder. Those days, Kapil, Azhar were the best fielders around, right? So here
Madan Lal.
also, Madan Lal was good, but not a diving sort. No, I mean, Azhar, Kapil were great. Kapil never had to dive. He was one of the greatest fielders I've ever seen. But here, what I saw in the Indian, that team, after they won against Australia, that self-belief they had developed was fantastic. And here, I think South Africa, of course, as I wrote in my Facebook post, they played to India's strength. I mean, batting second in a final. Imran Khan said, in a final, you win a toss, you bat. We saw what happened to that Indian team in 2003, the 2003 World Cup. We had a pretty decent team. Of course, Australia was super strong then, but still, if sort of after winning the toss had battered, I think it would have been a different game because even in that final, if India had chalked up a 280, I think Australia would have been in pressure.
I mean, he came on the back of 6 consecutive wins, if you remember,
Yes.
including blowing away England in the semis where Nehra took 6. I think he was a little bit confident on that he will be able to chase, and that was his underway.
No, but then Rahul, except for Pakistan, all the matches were won batting first. They defeated Pakistan batting second, but that, of course, Sachin played a brilliant, whatever. But England was blown away. It was in the second innings, right? So I still don't understand why sort of took this risk of batting against a very strong Australian bowling, in this the second time around. And Australia piled 350 and the rest was history. But here, I would say, Australia, even here in the semi-final, they had this huge score, no? I mean, 340 odd runs. That's a remarkably high score. And the fact that India chased it through with a very professional approach, and especially Jemima, I mean, it was clear that she was fatigued. She was playing very, very, I mean, cleverly. She was not playing high-risk shots. She was playing extremely controlled, shots like this in the Dhoni's mode. If you want 8 runs in the over, you don't need to hit 3 fours. You have a 4 in the first 2 balls. Next, you take singles and twos. She was exactly doing that. Her placement in the offside was fantastic. But then clearly she ran out of steam, and then she gave those dolly catches in her 80s and 90s or whatever. After that, she got a second breath, and then it was a different Jemima again. And the way the Indians pulled it off, see, Indians have succumbed under pressure. So this is one of my main observations. The Indian women's cricket team, which has previously fallen under pressure situations very badly, we'll never forget the 2017 World Cup. Here, I think that taboo, they have finally been able to shed. I think India has shown they can win both by chasing and by defending big totals. Not very big totals, actually. 280 was 299 was a subpar total in that pitch, right? They could have got easily 350. That is
yes,
a lacuna.
It was a subpar.
It was a subpar total, right? But then I was confident India would win. There was a difference.
You said you were very, very confident India would win.
Yeah, because I remember the Eden Gardens. You were also there with me in 94, right?
96, the same final.
94.
Achha, 94 match.
Hero Cup.
Okay. Yeah.
That, you remember, right? Sachin Tendulkar bowled that final over. Donald could not touch 4 balls. And I was there, 1 lakh people, everyone standing. No
Absolutely.
one was sitting. Everybody was standing on the concrete benches, and Donald was shaking. Right? South Africa were always a choker team of this choking thing has been there when they
And
batted
I think
second,
they choked
especially.
here also.
Somewhat, but I would say that they
Somewhat.
didn't come to that. Rahul, they all
Yeah.
lost by 50 runs. I
50
mean,
runs.
50 runs is a huge, it's like an innings defeat almost, right? It's a big margin. So they were outplayed. They were thoroughly outplayed when they batted. So I'm very happy that India, they defeated they have probably overcome their silos. They have shown they can win under different circumstances. They have a very well knit team, and you have to give it to Harmanjot. That brilliant, that strategy of getting in, this Shefali Verma, that was brilliant. I mean, this girl had bowled 14 overs before this,
Before this in an
ever.
entire career.
And that was a
That
stroke
is
of
good captaincy.
genius.
That was good
Very
captaincy. Yeah.
good. And she said after the meeting, after in the post match thing, right, that she had a gut feeling. You give one ek over dekh lete hai.
Yeah,
And
because this type of decisions, if it goes wrong, then
of
the
course,
entire country would
that's
have
it.
got after Harmanpreet.
But
Yeah, these are
yes,
decisions, very difficult
but
decisions.
see, I think what Shefali managed to do, again, I would give this to her Harmanjot because of her reading. See, cricket at this level, most of it is mental. What Harmanjot said is that Harmanpreet said is that Shefali had a very good match. She had really batted out of her skin. She was on a high. So take lete, give it to her because she's
Yes,
positive.
just to take the momentum going.
Absolutely, because she's on a high. And you remember that South African batter, I think number 4, she dropped 2 catches. She scored 1. Right? And if you are mentally low in cricket, see, at this level, I think most performers are well suited. I mean, you have to have a certain amount of ability to come to the international stage, right? After
Absolutely.
that, what matters is your mentality. For example, there is where I think Shreyas Iyer is
Always
great.
temperament. I think with lesser skill, a lot of good players have been very, very successful, as Sunil Gavaskar says. I think
Absolutely.
Saurav Ganguly also in a big example in test matches. He had a lot of difficult
Absolutely.
deficiencies.
So,
Still,
so,
he became a very good test player. So,
so I think
temperament very important.
Absolutely. Harmanpreet has shown a very strong leadership in this final. I mean, her gut decisions have been spot on. I mean, getting Shafali, I think, was really a very brave, but I would say a well thought out decision because she explained it, right? Because this player is in a positive. See, this is like Imran style captaincy. Imran did this. This guy has done well, bowling well, usko de dete hai. Bat acha kiya hai, chalo, ball dete hai. Good. Wasim Akram has, had 3 sixes in the match. Chalo, Wasim Akram was, of course, I mean, you don't talk about him, but say Mudassar or somebody else who has, done some, is on a mental high. So give him the ball. So this, I think she has trusted. I think that, India's typically in the Indian women's team has shown this tendency to choke. I think that curse has been lifted. South Africa continue to lose in big finals. Whatever
finals.
they have lost everything. They won WTC. But see, test match is different from one day. Limited format
But
gives
still,
you
I
much
thought
more.
that they will be able to pull this off. After WTC, I thought the choking thing would. This was not of a choking, really. I would say,
They were
not a choke.
outplayed. They were
They were
outplayed.
outplayed.
See, and I think one more very important thing, Rahul, what they sort of thought, and again, this was poor match reading, they thought that, see, Australia had really suffered because of the dew. You could see that Australian spinners were having a lot of difficulty in gripping the ball. So this left arm spinner was giving, long hops and, she bowled a full toss waist high, above waist high full toss, which there was this, no ball. Free hit was declared. So it was very clear that dew was having a problem. Here, and the pitch had speeded up. So the ball was coming easier to the bat. Here, the opposite happened. There was rain beforehand. And because there was rain, the outfield was soggy from the beginning. So the dew did not come in as an additional factor. And most importantly, the red soil of Bombay, that became wet and that started to dry out and became slower. So the balls came even slower to the bat. Right? Because the pitch sort of gripped. The ball gripped the pitch much better. Because it was not a dry pitch which became wet. It was a wet pitch which became dry. And that, again, the South Africans could not understand. And therefore, that is where I think Shafali succeeded. She strangled the batters by lack of pace. I mean, she was giving these dibbly-dobbly slower balls, and they were just not coming onto the bat. You could see that the batters were having no timing. And she bowled a very good line and length, fantastic line and length, I must say. And I think even Sri Charani, another, I mean, I think she is Harmanpreet's, go-to bowler. She bowled
Go-to bowler.
brilliantly. And she's go-to bowler and she bowled brilliantly. I mean, she bowled like a top-class leg spinner. I mean, whatever.
So
Left-hand off spinner.
what Ayan now, my second question was, what do you think this means for Indian women's cricket in general? Is this a watershed like 83?
I am not still sure that if you have mutual test series between India and the other countries, you would have very full houses.
Because women normally play very less test matches, as you are aware. They only play ODIs and T20s. So is this World Cup something to do with India's? A lot of people will say now that they are going to become a Harmanpreet or Jemima or Smriti. Every other women in the neighborhood will become a cricketer. Do you think that will happen?
See, I'm not really sure that sport is still a career that Indian women generally in society aspire to.
But now the prize money is same.
Is same.
60 lakhs, 15 lakhs, 3 lakhs, same, 15, 6 and 3.
I think, sure. And I think the consciousness should surely would be increasing. People would be aware of it. And see, unless sport becomes a proper career option for youngsters, India will not excel in sport. I think
which it has become in men.
Yes.
Which it has become in men's.
It has become in men's. I believe the doorway for that happening in women's cricket has opened. Now, whether the board, I think the board is quite supportive. In fact, Saurav has been, when he was BCCI president, he has been extremely supportive. That is very clear. I think Jesha is carrying it on. I think he's doing a good job in that direction. But I do believe that I'm not sure whether this will outright make women's cricket more popular for spectators per se, but because the prizes involved, etc., are more, then again, in the sense that you don't have cricket being played too much. So if BCCI gives the same kind of contracts, have they started the contract system for women? Have they started that, the central contract and all? I don't think are they doing that?
They've done it, I think.
I think the test match money has been equalized, but are they giving central contracts?
The central contracts are not there. No, not sure. Okay, I'm also
not sure. So if that doesn't happen, then the problem is that the number of matches is still very low. So if you have only
that's
4 or 5 matches.
That's the problem from Diana Dinji Shantaranga Swami's time and also Mithali Raj. The contracts, I think, are not there.
I can just, so as you can, I think we've gone in the show. I can just dig it out from the net. So, but then, as I said, I do think that as you said, the women going into cricket, that, the lucrative, it might become a lucrative thing. But
the 83 World Cup changed a lot of things in men's cricket. Do you think this win will change everything in women's cricket? Will change something?
For people seeing women's cricket, I am not quite sure whether that is a maybe. Now. That I still feel is a maybe, because whether if it's an India-Australia test series or whatever, Australia tours India, whether a lot of people will go and see Australia-India test matches, so chodi though. But I think T20 limited format, I think there's going to be interest, because I think we had a really participating audience in the DY Patil for the finals. Everybody was as, deeply into it.
But still, Ayan, I still could find a lot of empty seats. Kafi empty seats the bhai. Which I mean, even in a small T20 match of a men's team, you will not see. There were 10% seats were empty. I could say that in the final also.
Yeah, by the way, so I have just dug up this information, Rahul. So BCCI's grade A contract gives women 50 lakhs, whereas men receive 7 crore.
7 crore, yeah. I mentioned it with someone. It's a huge disparity.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
So
I will come back to you, Ayan.
I hope this will be increased. I hope this will be increased now.
Yeah, Ayan, I will come back to you again. Sudeep, my question to you is, India losing 3 matches in the groups, and we thought, and we discussed also that India probably, Amit was discussing that India will not qualify. He was very angry. and with especially with Harmanpreet, do you think after that the semi-final and the final, I
Yeah,
mean, are you surprised as an analyst that India could pull it back, as Ayan rightly said?
yeah,
Could they pull it back? And do you
yeah.
think the two matches were really indicative of India's cricket, women's cricket going forward? That's my
Yeah,
question to you.
I think it was the semi-final was the key. The way they won the match. It boosted their confidence like anything, and they just thought, we can, easily we can win the final. This boosted their confidence. The semi-final was something. It was a different league, a match of a different league. The way they chased such a mammoth total. So I think the semi-final was the turning point, in their confidence. But one thing I would like to say, this going forward, this is a now the in order to promote women's cricket, the board has to play a very constructive role. There should be a better planning of the tours, future tours, whether India is touring or some foreign countries or other nations are come touring India. The the under 19 cricket infrastructure for women's cricket has to be built from now on. If women's cricket has to grow, as well as men's cricket. So this is the thing.
Uh, do you think that since you are also a father of course, a 21-year-old daughter, but do you think going back, if in hindsight your daughter was in say 12 or 13, would you have asked her to play cricket instead of pursuing studies as a
No,
father?
I don't think that that mentality has come so far. Even in men's cricket, as far as men is concerned, the no parents, in India at least, will encourage, there are very rare cases, 10% maybe, that they will encourage their children to take a full-time cricket or any other sport whatsoever
No, but that
without.
in men's is happening now.
Yeah,
There are
men's
lots
is
of
it is glowed,
we
it
went
is
to we went to the academies. Remember, you and me, and there were in the morning at 9 o'clock there were
yeah,
at least
yeah,
one
there were.
almost 150 students.
Yeah, yeah,
Remember the
yeah,
academy we went.
yeah. But
Yeah,
how many are willing to take it up seriously on a full-time basis? That is the question. That is playing sports for fitness and for it's a hobby. That is that one thing. And playing full-time cricket, by sacrificing your studies, that is a totally different. I don't
so
think
you
hardly 5% of parents will agree to that, even in today's context.
so
Because
you were
how
saying
many
yeah,
how many get to play for India? You just decide, na? Most
that
of
is
them,
very true
how many
because
get to,
in a 140 country only 11 will play.
and how many can you, most of them just stay stagnant at the club level. Hardly when just take the case of Bengal, na? How many,
Yeah,
how many players, even Avimanyu Ishwaran is struggling to find a place in the Indian 11, you know.
correct. Very true. Very true. So do you think that this win will mean something for Indian cricket, or you think is BCCI has to play a lot of role?
No, no, this win is going to, generate more interest. Now, for a young girl, willing to take cricket, she now has 16 role models. This Indian team, they can look forward to something. And I'm telling you, the next year's WPL, the Women's Premier League,
Yes.
that is going to be that is going to generate lot more interest, and you're going to see more and more, foreign players. Maybe they'll be signed for the franchisees. And if that women's cricket, I'm sure, that is going to further, boost this women's Premier League, rather, that is going to boost the women's cricket in this country.
Okay, so both of you agree that till even this win may not propel a lot of women to take up it as a sports.
Actually, Rahul, the issue is, as just like Sudeep said, that even you guys have seen 100 students in sports academies in the morning, but still now, sports is viewed by Indian families, Indian parents, as a means of getting admission into universities and all. In
With a sports
sports
quota,
quota,
correct. Quota.
exactly. So that is something that you have as an add-on to get a seat to pursue a non-sports career. Sports in India is absolutely not institutionalized like it is in the advanced countries. I mean, countries which are good in sports. I mean, you will actually find in the West, in like, top tier economies, even like, East Germany. East Germany, if you remember, was a fantastically successful nation in athletics and swimming during when we were kids, right? And then, of course, there were issues about doping and all. Of course, that was there. But if you look at the infrastructure that they created, it was remarkable because they would recruit kids at the age of 9 to 11, and those kids would be put into state sponsored, these sports institutions, and they would be only taught that and would be given rewarding careers even if they failed to represent the country in the Olympics or won medals, because they had careers of training upcoming kids in the same sports centers. Every sort of locality in Berlin had a state sponsored sports club. So sports was a rewarding career, and therefore many people opted into sports. You look at China, the same model happens. India has failed to do that in any sport, and therefore we are absolutely nowhere in the Olympics or in any other. I think cricket is the only sport where the board has done a lot of things, but still cricket itself is played by so few countries in the world that it is difficult for a large number of people to have careers. Actually,
I agree. Coming back to you, Ayan, do you think, which Sudeep said, taking a cue from that, do you think WPL, the disparity in the payment, because we can't think of a Harmanpreet or a Nat Schreiber Brandt or a Edwards or maybe a Shriti Mandana getting 27 crores or 25 crores. Do you think that disparity in payment is also one of the issues
of
why
course.
women may
Well,
not be thinking to take up either a full-time career? Because nowadays, see, you play 3 years or 4 years IPL, your entire life is done.
finished,
You don't have to play
exactly.
test matches. Yeah.
But you can
Yeah.
see,
So that is the way people
obviously,
think of playing only IPL.
absolutely.
So what
See,
is your take? What is your take on this? The
I mean,
IPL,
see,
is that a doorway to the future of women's cricket?
of course, because IPL has ensured, I mean, the men's IPL
Yeah.
as such has
Yeah.
ensured that you do not need to do anything else but play for some franchisee for 3-4 seasons, and as you said, and your life is mostly done. If you get some kind of, some position somewhere, some salary, it is fine for you. But why is that happening? That has to be looked at, right? Because IPL is a pure business venture, and it is a phenomenally successful business venture. To the
Correct.
effect that during IPL season, from about 8 that time in the night, the entire country gets absorbed, and this is irrespective of any place. Everywhere you take a tour
Correct.
of the whole country
Whole
with their
country.
mobiles on their smartphones. There'll be one person with the smartphone, showing the match, and 3-4 other people will be crowding around to see it. Do you think the same would happen for WPL? It will probably not, right? So if that kind of thing happens, if we see, for example, the next WPL, if it is marketed properly, if it is, sold, you have more and more players who can draw crowds in the same level, I think it'll gradually go there. But thinking that it'll drastically change and the payments would be equalized, that is probably not a fair question to ask, because you're not generating revenues of the same sort that IPL generates. So WPL, I think, generates a small fraction of the revenue that IPL does. And I believe that the payments are proportional. So if the revenues increase, of course, payments will increase. And if payments increase, again, the possibility of this being a career, that also will become stronger. And it's like it's a cycle, right? When one happens, it leads to the other. That also, that leads to the other. So you have a chain of events. But thinking that IPL, WPL, the cricketers should get similar amount of money as the men, that's not fair, because the business is not the same. It's much lesser. So if the nation can get hooked on, see, women's tennis is very, very popular. And,
Isn't somewhere it is getting sexist, and isn't somewhere getting sexist when you say that women are not being able to match up as men? I mean, it's a controversial question, but I'm
so
asking.
it's a very, that is the thing, because but then I see, because this is again a problematic thing, right? Because whatever you say would be deemed as politically incorrect, but it's a fact
Correct.
that in terms of muscle power, nature has designed women to be weaker in muscle power than men. It's a fact, right? I mean, you cannot, that's a different thing. The body structure is different. But then, just see, does obviously the power in men's tennis is much higher than in women's tennis. But did we not see eagerly Steffi Graf versus Sabatini? Do we still not see? I mean, now, of course, I don't know. I mean, I don't follow tennis too much after
I also
Federer.
don't follow it.
After
Yeah.
Roger Federer retired, I don't follow tennis so much. And women's tennis, of course, after Graf and I think Hingis and all, I don't follow women's tennis too much. But I can tell you, I still dig up Chris Evert versus Navratilova matches. I
Navratilova. That is
still
where
dig up.
we grew up. That is where
I
we grew up.
still
Navratilova.
see those. I still see those. And if you see that power level is nothing compared to even, Connors versus McEnroe in the same time. But tennis is not all about power. It's about guile. It's about competitiveness. It's
And
about
skill also, very high skill,
Yes,
level of skill.
it's like a microcosm of life, the battles of human, life, conflicts between humans. It's a battle of attrition. You get life moments enacted out in sport. That is why sports is so great. It mimics
Correct.
life situations, right? And that I saw happening in the women's final as well. I mean, whatever parameters by which we judge men's cricket, we use the same parameters, and we found the women not wanting anywhere. So that at least showed that the passion, the tension, when Amanjot was fumbling the ball, my heart went to my mouth. And when she clutched at the ball, I just involuntarily clapped. I spontaneously clapped. And I clapped the same way when Richards was taken by Kapil Dev, though, of course, we had load shedding that time. I couldn't see that moment. But I heard it on the radio.
I remember I was not here. We had a TV, but I was not I was not where I was. So
I
couldn't watch
remember
it.
our power came back after Richards went. After that, I saw the entire match. With Richards' dismissal, we didn't have power.
No, I
But
missed
yeah.
the match completely. So
No,
India's
I'm sorry.
batting basically.
That time
Yeah.
I was in Dhanbad, Bihar, so they did
You were
not
in
have any
Dhanbad.
TV that time.
Yeah, and I was in out of. I mean, I was in Darjeeling or I think somewhere else, but I was not in Calcutta, and I couldn't
No.
see. Also, I just batted.
No.
I saw half of the match. I think which was the West Indian batting, the second part.
But then you saw
Not-
Richards catch.
No, not the second part.
Oh,
The
not
first
the
part,
second.
India's batting. The
India's
second part, I
batting.
could not see. I still
Right.
remember that. After, of course, I've seen that match a number of times. But yes,
Of course,
So-
it's not. So
Yeah.
basically, what
So-
I'm saying is, I would summarize by saying that the parameters which define sport, why people watch sport, is
Watch
that it
sports.
mimics life. It mimics life situations.
Right.
It mimics life situations, and that we saw enacted in the last final. So I believe that trust that women's cricket can also provide entertainment, that trust, the seeds of that trust have been born in the final match. So how
So-
long it
so
will
both-
take for your
Takes to-
street to become a big tree, that has to be seen. But the sapling, I think,
No.
has been planted.
Oh, so you're saying the win is just a step forward, not a great,
It's
like the 83 World Cup or the 87 Reliance Cup, after which Jagmohan Dalmia
Absolutely.
successfully spread it. So it is not reached that level, that way.
But then remember again, see, 83 was followed very closely by 85.
85.
85 victory was a spectacular victory.
Spectacular.
India decimated all its opposition.
All
It
the opponents, they won
decimated.
unbeaten. They won unbeaten.
And
Yeah.
I really think, Rahul, had they played the West Indies, I think we would have won there also. Because that Indian team, that one-day team in 85, I think it has been one of the strongest teams India has ever had. Every
One of
player
the-
could
yes.
bat. No, but
Bat.
I would really tell you, Rahul, one in the final match, maybe other than Shivramakrishnan, all 10 batsmen were solid. You had Chetan Sharma, who was a one-day 100. He used to come in at number 10. Number 11 was Shivramakrishnan. And he was better bat than, I think, Siraj or somebody. I mean, the current team, Kuldeep, come on, can Kuldeep bat that? What is Kuldeep compared to Chetan Sharma? What is Kuldeep? Sadanand Vishwanath, a solid bat. You had people like Madan Lal coming in at number 8. Roger Binney coming in at number 9. I mean, that was a fantastic team in terms of batting and bowling, you think of it. Kapil
I think
at
the
his
83,
peak.
83 team was also very good because of the same
Not,
reason.
no,
Everyone
they were
could.
not. No, but then see, people like Chetan Sharma were not there. I mean, Shiv Ramakrishnan, a phenomenally good leg spinner in
No, but
85.
but Kirti Azad, Sandeep Patil, they could
Ah,
bat.
but
They could bat
yeah,
and bowl. They were both bits and
yeah, yeah,
pieces.
yeah. I mean, Sandeep Patil was very good, but he had faded out very quickly, right? 85, he was gone. 85,
85.
85, we had a absolutely one of the best fast bowlers in the world, medium pace bowlers in Kapil Dev at the peak of his form, right? We had Shiv Ramakrishnan, who at that time was probably the best leg spinner in the world,
He was a freak.
right?
He was a freak, and at the peak of his powers, also
85, he was
85.
fantastic. Ravi
Fantastic.
Shastri,
84 Ravi Shastri.
see, left arm spinner, right
And
hand.
remember 83, we didn't have Azhar. We had
We didn't have
Azharuddin
Azhar.
at his
Ah,
peak, at his
yeah.
new Azharuddin at his peak.
Yeah, as a fielder, he was a lion on the field.
He was brilliant.
Gavaskar,
He was one of
think
the
of his
first.
Srikanth, Chris
85 was
Srikanth,
a remarkable team.
fantastic team, right? I really think, Rahul, I would say you think you take a statistical, I mean, you really look at it very, very, quantitatively. I would strongly say I think that 85 Indian ODI team was probably the best India has ever had. I'm standing by this. You look at the profile of players, you look at the variety, you look at solidity, you look at expressness. Srikanth was a blaster.
So you think that the 85 team was better than the 2011 team of Dhoni?
I think so, because I don't think in terms of spin, the 2011 team have that variety and that quality. India
They had
Kumble
Amit
and
Sharma.
Harbhajan.
They had Amit
Yeah.
Sharma and Piyush Chawla.
Where
Amit Sharma and
was-
Piyush Chawla.
Come on, Shiv Ramakrishnan had destroyed England in India in the 84 series. And 85, he was at peak.
I'm talking of the 85 team and the 2011 team. So you
That's
think
what I'm
85
saying.
team was better?
Yes, because Shiv
But
Ramakrishnan...
Yuvraj Singh, Dhoni, Gautam Gambhir,
batting was okay.
Suresh Raina, I think it was a very, very strong team.
Batting
2011 was
team.
also.
Was a strong team. Batting team, okay. But I'm saying in terms of all-rounders, you had batsmen up to number 10. You had 6, 7 bowlers in the team. I mean, Suresh Raina was nothing compared to Mohinder Amarnath. I mean, Mohinder Amarnath has won you matches in England. He was player of the finals in the player of the World Cup in 83.
World Cup, yeah.
Mohinder Amarnath is coming in at number 6. Vengsarkar was the top of his form.
Azharuddin, Ravi Shastri.
Azharuddin,
85 was a
Shastri.
strong team.
Fantastic team. See, I'll tell you, Rahul, that 85, 86 Indian Test team as well as one day team. I don't think we have had a team which could bat till number 10, where 1 to 10 had batters who had one day 100, I mean, first class hundreds. In the England series, which just happened afterwards in 86, think of it. All 11 in the test series, India won 2-0. In the Edgbaston, the second test, all 11 could bat. Chetan Sharma came in at number 11. Shivram was dropped. You had Maninder Singh. Oh, yeah, Maninder Singh was not a great bat. Okay, number 10 people could bat. And all
I
of
still
them
would
had
say
first class hundreds.
I will disagree with you. I think 85 and 11, almost for me, it's almost the same. Almost. I don't know.
I mean, quality of all-rounders. Did you have a Kapil Dev? Did you have a Ravi Shastri, who was an opener and who was one of the best left-arm spin bowlers of the world?
But I think the bowlers in 2011 were also very effective. Amit Sharma, Piyush Chawla, very good. Munaf Patel, Srishant, they were not
good batsmen, right? They were not good batsmen. Here you had Chetan Sharma, who has a hat-trick in one days, who has 2 one-day centuries. 2 one-day centuries.
Yeah, we'll have to move now to the next our discussion. Sudeep, the other part which is associated very closely with is the coach. We're not talking much of the coach because, I mean, a lot of people have been speaking about Amal Mazumdar. It's a very weird sort of a scenario of a career that he had on the fringes like Padmaka Shivalkar and Rajinder Goyal. He never played for
Varun
India.
Burman also.
Varun Burman. And Dalip Doshi, of course, played, but Dalip Doshi's career was also cut by Bedi and Chandra for a very long period. So my question to you is, do you think, and I've written this in Facebook, that what life takes, it gives back. Do you think Amal Mazumdar's redemption in this brilliant tournament, where he showed to the world that what he would have given to India had he played for India, do you think it makes a lot of it gives a lot of statement to BCCI about not playing him? I mean, do you think in the fact, I mean, after so many years, does he make a strong statement that it was very it was it was not done to take not play him at least in one or two test matches. What is your take on Amal Majumdar? Because he's shown enough guile as a coach to bring this team out of absolute darkness to where it is now.
Yeah. See, Amol Majumdar, I think I consider him one of the unluckiest cricketers, because he was playing at a time when we had Sachin Tendulkar, Ganguly, Dravid, Lakshman players, and there was hardly any chance for him. There was any slot open for him in the team. So I think he was one of the. So this is definitely a kind of redemption for him. But having said that, see, he has to, the momentum which India has gained, by winning the World Cup. He has to carry on the momentum, or, maybe one day we may see him as heading the men's cricket team, also coach. You never know, but for that, his performance, this is just a beginning, so he has to carry on the good work. And one thing I think he has to stress on in, the fielding part, the Indian team, they have to improve the fielding, because, for in closer matches, tight matches, this fielding is going to make all the difference, and fielding was, entire tournament was shoddy, very shoddy, yeah, of course, it is for all other teams, even Australia and South Africa, they also dropped, vital catches, of course. But having said that, Indian fielding was, other than the dropped catches, it was overall very good in the finals. I was a bit surprised, it was a very, their fielding was very, well above the, what they did in the semi-final. So Amol Majumdar, I think, they are, he has to carry on the good work, to if he has to, I'm sure he'll be now.
Why I ask you this? Because if you remember the previous coach, Ramesh Pawar, I think Ramesh Pawar or Rajesh Pawar, he was very controversial. He was very controversial and he had to be removed by BCCI. I remember very clearly. So
Yeah.
Amal Majumdar, when he became a coach, now not many people thought that he would be able to pull the team, but the way he has done it,
Yes.
not only accolades, but I think, and it is a feeling of a lot of people that, of course, redemption done, but he should have played for India. He should have.
He should have. I told you
because
that he was one of the unluckiest cricketers, and
Because his
even
cricketing brain and the numbers that he produced, which Abhimanyu Ishwarun has also produced, his numbers are so gigantic in domestic cricket. I mean,
and
if you look
coming
at the
from
11,000
Mumbai, it was
runs,
more surprising.
Mumbai,
Coming from Mumbai,
very
he did
surprising.
not get a chance. This was more surprising. I think I don't think it was justice was done to him, because the kind of
Like-
talent he had,
Yeah,
justice was
correct.
not done.
And
you know.
he continued scoring. It was not
Continued
that he
his-
failed. He continued for 7-8 years before he moved his state to try. But I think he was really a big giant in domestic cricket for a
He
very,
was
very
one
long
of the
period of time.
technically one of the very sound batsmen.
Very clear. And
Yeah.
I was always apprehensive that if Saurav was unwell or he was missing a test match or Lakshman, I was always waiting to see whether Amal Majumdar gets a nod in. I don't know what the selectors thought about at that point of time, but luckily or unluckily, he never made it to the side. Not even
No,
a
that,
one day. Not
yeah,
even
that
one
time,
one day.
the Bombay lobby was not very strong. If you remember, in the 2000,
Correct.
early part of 2000, the Bombay lobby was
Even from 96 onwards, when Saurav was pushed by Sambaran, because we discussed that, you remember, you were there in the interview.
yeah.
So Sambaran could use Sandeep Patil to get and Anshuman Gaikwad to get Saurav in. You know, very, very valid point. In the early 2000s, the Bombay lobby was very, very, I'm not weak, but it was not as strong as it
Not
always
as strong
has been
as
and
in the
now it
times
is.
of Gavaskar, that time.
Gavaskar,
The 2000
right.
was,
Very true, very true.
mostly dominated by the South lobby, South lobby was
South
very
lobby.
strong
South
at
lobby
that
has
time.
always been very dominating even now.
Yeah.
And the West lobby also now.
Yeah.
So yes, that
So
is
I
one
don't,
good point
yeah,
you
so
made.
Anmol Majumdar, the kind of batsman we see nowadays, because, he was far better, of the likes of, if you compare with likes of Sai Sudarshan or Karun Nair, he was, his talent, his skill, and even he was much better, I think, with Sadagopan Ramesh, we persisted him as an opener. Of
Yeah,
course,
I
he
think,
was an
I think
opener.
like Sai Sudarshan is being used at number 1 and Subman
Yeah.
Gill, so his life open now he's moving to number 4. He could have been tried as opener. That was my
As
feeling
opener,
at that point of time to give him a position.
Maybe
Because you
he
need
should
to be
have been
flexible
tried,
if you want
I
to
think.
play for India.
I
You
think
should have
we
been
lost a prodigy,
He was a
who could have,
prodigy.
who could have
Good player,
done
very
great
good player.
service to Indian cricket.
So
I
do you think that he can have a long shot at the men's coaching somewhere
Yeah,
in
I think,
future?
of course, this win will make him, it will motivate him further, and if he performs well, his team performs well, and he can manage the things all around in a proper way. Huh? I think you never know. He will take up the Indian to 2 or 3 years down the line. He may head the Indian team as coach, Indian coach.
Thank you, Sudhir. Over to you, Ayan. Your take on Amal Majumdar as coach, your take on Amal Majumdar, the way he led this team. And do you think, taking a cue from Sudeep, that maybe the loss as a player is now maybe replenished by Amal Majumdar, the coach?
I'm waiting for Chak De India #2. So I feel that what Amal Majumdar has done is very similar to what Mir Ranjan Negi, I mean, not very similar in the sense that Mir Negi was absolutely slandered, slammed because of the 1-7 defeat. I mean, it was, India suffered one of its most ignominious defeats in hockey, that too on home ground against its arch rivals, Pakistan, 82 World Cup. It was a huge thing. It had been made one of the nation's most prestigious sporting events ever in the 82 World Asian Games. India went to the final. India had a pretty good team and was absolutely thrashed by Pakistan. And Mir Negi was straight taken out as the villain. So his moment of redemption came, of course, in the women's Commonwealth gold. This is interesting because Amal Majumdar has never had to face that kind of flack that Mir Negi had to face. But at the same time, his life has been some kind of you can say it's been a kind of tragic because he was born at the wrong time. Absolutely, that is the only thing I can say. India had its best middle order ever, probably, at the same time when Majumdar played. And I don't think he really, so the only spot that was open probably was as an opener, but I don't see that Majumdar had played too long. I mean, he didn't really play in the domestic circuit as an opener for long. So that one has to be said. He did try to move states, but he didn't really he didn't play for Bombay as an opener so much to really challenge that spot. So, Rahul, you're muted.
But Ayon, we had discussed this regarding Abhimanyu Vishwakarman. You were the first to point out that if he really wants to play well for India, he should be flexible to open.
Yes.
So taking that cue, Amal Majumdar should have opened.
Yes,
I don't know. That was a position to open.
He did not. So he did not show flexibility. And to all intents and purposes, that middle order that India had during that, he started in 94, right? Which was the time when Sachin was the god. Kamli was very strong.
That middle order in 96 to 2010.
Where would he get in? So you can say that it was a twist of fate that he was born, but he did not show as much of flexibility as should have been shown. But so his moment has come when he has got India the World Cup. So this deserves a film for him. So I'm sure there are scripts already being made.
More importantly, which Saurav had said later, that even a hugely talented man like Yuvraj Singh could not find a place because of this. And he only played after Saurav retired. So, I mean, in all fairness, Amal Majumdar would have never got it.
You already have said there are similar instances. Paddy Shivalkar and Rajinder Goyal never got to play because of Bedi and Prasanna. Gavaskar writes in Idols. Gavaskar dedicates 2 chapters to them. And he says that he considered Goyal to be a more difficult bowler to play than Bedi. Because Bedi would give him scoring options. Bedi's, insistence of flighting the ball gave batsmen who had good use of their feet to actually score runs. Goyal would give you no room. And on a turning pitch, he actually said Goyal was more dangerous because he had this fast leg breaks like Jadeja. In fact, I always feel that if Jadeja had played that England series, which we won, that Alistair Cook's captaincy, right? We had Pragyan Oja playing, who was much slower in the air than Jadeja. Had Jadeja played at Bombay, I think India would have won. Because India easily won.
I think in hindsight, yes.
Yes. So anyway, that's a different story. But I feel that
Majumdar
had his, it's a twist of fate. I believe he has shown extremely good acumen as a coach. He has solidly built this team. He has built a team.
Yes, so I think he has built a team. Yeah.
receive accolades. He has made his mark. I think whatever shortcomings he must have felt, whatever unfairness he felt was dealt to him, I don't think by the system but by fate. I think it has turned a full circle. He has achieved
Yeah.
success.
Yes.
Better
Huge
come
success.
late than never. Better come
Never.
late than
Correct.
never.
Then never. Absolutely. Yeah. So we are on almost finishing of our first discussion on the World Cup, where both our experts agree that this could be the stepping stone and for Indian women, but definitely not as much as the men's have done. And regarding Amal Majumdar, we unanimously decide that the life has come a full circle for him. Whether he takes it to another level or becomes a men's coach, time will definitely tell. On that note, we would like to thank both our experts as we move on to the next part of our show, which is the Australian team, which is declared today morning for the Ashes.